Well, I haven't even gone live in ages. I can't even remember how these things work. Wait 1 second. Let me try and fix it. Is it live? Can people comment if it's actually live? uh, 1 second. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we are live. All right, great. How is everyone doing? How is everyone doing today? I hope everyone is good because we're talking about Phoebe Philo. So everyone should be good. Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? This feels so weird. I know, like, there's a point in time when I used to do like live streams like every day or every week, but it feels like it's been so many months. It just feels so kind of strange. I don't know, it's just weird. What do guys feel about, obviously we're going to talk about it, but how do you guys feel about the news about Phoebe Philo? How do you guys, what are you guys looking forward to seeing? What do you guys think she's going to do with her own brand? How can you not be fine with Phoebe Philo back? Yes, it has been a very long time, a very long time, very long time. At least going live, as far as that's concerned. Um, since it's been like a while since I've done like one of these, I will say that if you like want to join in and discuss with me, I normally share the link in the chat, and like if you have a webcam or something, you can actually like join in the conversation. Um, so literally anyone can join and say what they want. So yeah, I'll drop the link now. But anyway, might as well get into it. So the big news is that Phoebe Philo, in collaboration with LVMH, has launched her own eponymous label. If you don't know who Phoebe Philo is, which I that would surprise me, she was the creative director of Chloe and then became the creative director of Celine. And then when she left, Eddie Simon took over. And of course, there was a lot of rift because Eddie Simon's aesthetic is like completely different to Phoebe Philo's aesthetic. And because she was there for so long, people started to associate like Celine with Phoebe Philo, even though that's not a thing because it's like a brand, it's not her. Um, so yeah, a lot of people since sort of like Phoebe Philo quit fashion have looked to different designers like Peter Do or Daniel Lee to get that sort of Phoebe Philo essence. It's quite interesting because Peter Do and Daniel Lee actually did work under um, Phoebe Philo at some point. So that's why a lot of people kind of associate Phoebe Philo's aesthetic with both of them, even though they kind of have their own unique takes on things. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of stuff she did. Aesthetically, her aesthetic was very feminine, even though it was women's wear. A lot of stuff now is being a bit androgynous. Her style was more feminine. Silhouettes were quite wide a lot of the time. Things were quite flowy. She was known for really good footwear design. She had these like crazy every season almost. She used to have these sort of quote unquote ugly shoe designs, kind of like similar to Prada. But Prada's more like ugly chic in terms of colors and patterns and prints. Celine under Phoebe Philo is more ugly in terms of just like the silhouette of shoes that would actually be hit. I could even let me see if I can show you some examples. Like there were pumps I remember that were like really ugly but like really famous. Someone said I need to do a video on Phoebe Philo. Have I done one on Phoebe Philo? I don't think so. Actually, I have. I've made one video on Phoebe Philo. It's about how she made Stan Smith's popular, I think. I think that's the only one I've made. So if you want to watch that after this, then be my guest. But I think that's the only one I've watched though. But anyway, what I'm gonna do is like I'm gonna watch some of her old collections and just kind of run through it. I think that'll kind of be an interesting thing to do as we discuss different talking points. Also, you guys can comment in the live section what you think is going to happen with our own label. I'm quite interested to know what people think, like in general. Someone said it's coming Rome. That's hilarious. The Stan Smith one, yeah, the Stan Smith one. Okay, cool. So the thing about Phoebe Philo having her own eponymous label is actually like really amazing, because then we're not going to have the whole Eddie Saman controversy ever again. It's not going to be like, this is Phoebe Philo's aesthetic, Eddie Saman's destroying what Phoebe Philo created. We're not going to really have any of that anymore, because now she has an eponymous label, so her aesthetic is going to be under her name, and that's just how it's going to go. Quite interesting that it's in collaboration with LVMH. It makes sense because obviously she's worked under LVMH brands for like forever. Someone actually, Alex, this is a really good question. I'm wondering how much creative control she'll have, considering LVMH is all about the money. Okay, good thing to note about this is, one big thing to note about Phoebe Philo at Celine is when she was there, they did well commercially. Like they did really well commercially. Like I was reading a BOF article about it earlier this morning, and in the article, they said that she lifted annual sales from 200 million euros to more than 700 million euros by 2017. So from like when she started at Celine to 2017, she had raised annual sales by more than 500 million euros. And that was like with an aesthetic that all of us liked. It wasn't like she was like sort of selling out or anything like that. So I think she can achieve the same with her brand. I think people with Phoebe Philo, they kind of know what to expect and they know what they're getting. So I don't think, even whether she has creative control or not, I don't think there's going to be too much of an issue. Someone said thoughts on the backlash towards Saka. This isn't a football live, but it's terrible. England is kind of like that though. As a black person in England, if you play well, then you're English, and then if you play bad, you're a monkey. It's kind of just how like England goes, but it's just the country I live in. Comes with the good and the bad, doesn't it? I need that. Someone said I need that Philo box logo. I'm trying to see if I missed anyone's thoughts on like what the new Phoebe Philo is going to look like. Let me just scroll through the comments quickly. Pretty much excited with the news. I'm wondering if she'll continue her Celine aesthetic or bring something new to the table. Okay, so one thing I actually am looking forward to, if she does it, is if she designs menswear. Oh my God, I would be like, you have no idea. Like now I'm just speaking from frustration. So in England, there's sort of like a discount sort of outlet place. It's called Bicester Village. And if you go to Bicester Village, I'm not sure if you go now, but I went there late last year, and there's a Celine store there. And in the Celine store, there's a lot of stuff from Phoebe Philo's era, because of course it's like a outlet, so it's mainly like old stuff. And the stuff there was so amazing, but because it was women's wear, the sizes were too small for me. And I remember being so frustrated. Like, if Phoebe Philo makes menswear, I'm going to be so happy. So that's one big thing. If she's going to change something, I'd love to see that, to be honest. Am I checking that new Phoebe Philo so much? Oh my God. That's a Kanye lyric, isn't it? That's funny. Yeah, someone said, I'd love to see Menzo by Philo. I'm not familiar with her work, but this stream could be a good starting point, I hope. Yeah, you know what? As I'm talking, I'm gonna try and get up like some of her most iconic pieces. Um, I think Philo went mainstream, well, mainstream when Kanye wore that printed shirt. It was like white, blue, red, and green, if I'm not mistaken. That was like a big moment because obviously Kanye is like everywhere. Um, I'll post a link to Kanye wearing what I'm talking about in the chat, and you guys can like see what I'm talking about. It was like a Celine blouse almost. Someone said, one second, Phoebe Philo Menzel bankrupt me, and I have no issues with that. Yeah, someone said Chloe. Yeah, I talked about that earlier. She was creative director of Chloe, and then she went to Celine. I hope it won't feel like an out of touch remake of her 2010s aesthetic. I think she's capable of making it current. Yeah, that's true. Because I feel like a lot of people who are looking forward to sort of Phoebe Philo being back in fashion, they're more looking forward to it from perspective of nostalgia and like, oh, bring the old Philo back. We're tired of Eddie Slimon, that sort of thing. Um, but yeah, did someone say did Kanye pass down the blouse to Travis Scott? I think people have said that. I don't know if that's like true or not. I'm not too sure about that. But the blouse that Kanye wore, by the way, was from the Celine Spring Summer, I think 2011 collection. Let me bring it up on the screen and see if it's that one specifically. Celine SS11. Yes, it is. It was from the 2011 collection. For the way they're described in these, I don't think she would do runway shows, at least not immediately. I believe it would be somehow similar to the way they have presented Fenty. Oh, let's talk about Fenty actually. So I read in a lot of reports that Fenty was sort of like an experiment for LVMH, and not like the whole brand was just a whole experiment, more like LVMH wanted to see if like the whole drop culture and doing fashion collections in like drops instead of runway shows, because obviously that way is like cheaper, is a viable option to run a fashion brand and make it like really big. So they tried that with Fenty. Obviously, it didn't work. So I thought that because of the whole Fenty experiment, they wouldn't try that again, like the whole like drop thing. That being said, Rihanna's like Fenty, the Fenty brand didn't really have a USP anyway. There wasn't really anything unique about Fenty's clothing apart from the fact that it was like body inclusive, I guess, which a lot of brands are moving in that direction anyway. So it's not really that strong of a USP to like really set itself against the whole market that was available at the time. So yeah, I don't know if that's going to work. Honestly, I'm not sure if that's going to work. Also, wonder if she'll pursue the moment or she'll completely surprise us with with something big for a comeback. I hope she does something really different as a comeback. I really hope so. By the way, in this live stream, I'm not just talking about Phoebe Philo. For anyone wondering, we're going to talk about like everything. I just wanted to start with Phoebe Philo because that's a big talking point right now. My pet peeve is people comparing Eddie Slimane to Phoebe Philo. Yeah, it's just weird because at the end of the day, Phoebe Philo doesn't own Celine. Like, it's not her brand. So it changing is not that big of a it's not that big of a deal, is it? Especially because now she's going to have her own brand. Agreed. 100% Fenty was definitely a test run into pop culture. I think the Fenty project was interesting. I honestly still believe that Rihanna could have a successful fashion brand. I just think that a lot of things about it weren't done properly. Like, I just feel like they handled it because obviously Fenty Beauty was so successful, they kind of handled it in the same way, and fashion just doesn't work like that. So it was just never going to work. The people they hired, questionable, like the team, very questionable. Also, the clothing itself, like once again, I said earlier, the USP, there's not really that much of a unique selling point with the clothing. It's like if I go to Fenty, apart from the fact that I'm, supporting Rihanna herself, or I'm supporting one of the few Black creative directors, it's just like, what else is unique about it? And I think that's what the issue was. She doesn't own Celine, but she shaped Celine. In the modern day, yes, she shaped Celine. She definitely turned Celine into like a commercial success. Not like it wasn't successful before, but she like tripled the success, even more than that. Someone said I don't think I've ever seen anyone wearing Fenty clothes, to be honest. Same. The reason why I've been like saying it doesn't have a USP is because like when I think of like price points, so and this is I learned stuff like this from just like working in fashion. Like when you set your clothing at a certain price point, you have to think of all your competitors, which basically is any other brand that sells clothing at that price point. And then when you look at Fenty versus all the other clothes that were selling for the same price, there's just no reason to pick Fenty, really. In terms of quality, in terms of design, in terms of like unique clothing, in terms of like statement pieces, it was just, yeah, I don't know. I think we'll see something completely new, like a minimalistic and edgy at the same time collection, if it makes sense. Minimalistic and edgy. I kind of see what you mean. Kors did a good job at Celine, but the fact that Philo made it hype worthy. The thing about Michael Kors at Celine was Michael Kors was there so early that I feel like a lot of people that are into fashion weren't into fashion when Michael Kors was at Celine anyway. Like obviously everyone knows that Michael Kors was there, but like for example, I didn't live through Michael Kors' time at Celine. Well, I lived through it, but I just wasn't interested in fashion at the time. So I wasn't looking at it. I wasn't there at the moments when things happened. Therefore, I can't really contextualize like the impact. I can only read about it. So Phoebe Philo's impact is always going to have a different level. I wonder if this return will be as fresh, less exciting as I was told they once were. As a person whose first encounter to the Philo universe was through its derivatives, e.g., Daniel Lee and Peter Doe. Interesting. I will say Daniel Lee is probably more similar to Phoebe Philo than Peter Doe, only because I think Peter Doe, if I was to compare both of them, Peter Doe is the better designer, and Peter Doe is more experimental. And Peter Doe has his own fabrics and stuff, like Spacer. He has that Spacer fabric. So yeah, I definitely prefer Peter Doe. Just saying. I frankly find it difficult to imagine how different it'll be. Do you mean like how different it will be to Peter Doe and Daniel Lee's Bottega Veneta? Fenty felt like a high-end Instagram brand. I won't lie, it kind of did. I'm not going to lie to you. I saw lots of people saying that Peter Doe, Bottega, or the Row would lose some customers. No, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think the Row probably. I just see the Row as like really, really overpriced clothing anyway. The Row is just the brand that I know about, but I just never really look at it because I'm just not interested. But Peter Doe, I think his clothing is too different and it's too unique. Bottega, it depends because I feel like a lot of people don't know who Phoebe Philo is, and Bottega has sort of become on its own. It's sort of like this hype thing. Like a lot of people that wear the woven, let's say, bags, they don't even know who Daniel Lee or Phoebe Philo is. So they're not the type of customers that just because Phoebe Philo is back, they're going to change. Like people need to realize that when it comes to fashion, not that many people are into fashion enough to know like who creative directors are. Like most people don't know that. It's just like us, really. But because like we probably have friends who are into fashion, we talk about fashion all the time, or in like fashion circles, we just think that Phoebe Philo coming back is going to take customers from like Bottega and like Peter Doe is not going to happen, really. I'm wondering if she'll try to shift the industry in some ways, for instance, regarding environmental impact, or she'll go ready to wear as usual. I'm trying to think, did Phoebe Philo, when she was at Celine, did she have any sort of sustainability sort of initiatives with her clothing? I don't think so. Not that I can remember. But obviously, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Hey, Alex. Alex is back. Phoebe created a certain desirable niche in women's fashion while still maintaining artistic integrity, which is why Celine is so beloved and referenced in modern fashion. I agree. Why do other designers, unlike Phoebe, dress quite badly? I don't know. I think there's two reasons for it. So you have designers like Rick Owens, and Rick Owens looks amazing all the time, mainly because he just wears all his own clothing. And then there's some designers, I feel like some designers put so much energy into making collections that when it comes to how they dress, they just cannot begin to like put energy into that. And if that's the case, I don't mind. Like Alexander McQueen is known to dress terribly. He was known to dress quite bad on a consistent basis, but he made some of the best clothing ever. So it just depends on like what do you want. Let's pray this at least ends the 12 designers who are the next Phoebe Philo articles. I just really dislike the genre of articles just saying this designer is the new other designer. That's true. I remember when Phoebe Philo left Celine, there were so many articles on like Mr. Old Celine. Well, here are 5 new alternatives to Phoebe Philo. Yeah, I hope we're like done with that. Peter Doe has a unique design that's following a projection similar to Phoebe at Celine or Rick Owens' namesake brand. It's self-contained and works best with other pieces under the Peter Doe label. Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with that. Every time I say Peter Doe, people say that it sounds like pizza dough. Is it my accent? Because like Peter is not the same thing as pizza. Peter, pizza. I don't know, that's weird. I made a video on Peter Doe actually. So if you guys don't know who like Phoebe Philo is or Peter Doe, I've made a video on Phoebe Philo, so you can check that out. And after this, also watch. I made quite a good video on Peter Doe. So it's quite a good video if you like know nothing about Peter Doe to like knowing quite a bit. But in the comment section of that video, everyone was like commenting pizza dough. And it's like, I didn't say that though. I said Peter Doe. Maybe it sounds similar. That is true. I like fashion, but I do not really care who the creative director is, but I'm trying to expand my knowledge by watching your videos. Yeah, exactly. And like, there's nothing wrong with like not knowing, by the way. I was just like trying to say that most people don't. Like, most people aren't that interested in fashion. So like, because a lot of people think that like majority of people are like them, but it's just not the case. Are you recording this live so I can watch it later? I love that you're covering this. Yes, so I will just post it on my channel. So when I end the stream, you'll be able to like watch it back on the channel. Pyer Moss show. I'm going to talk about that after if people want me to talk about it. He said Alexander McQueen looked like a bum when he first started. Oh my god. I like Vera Wang's style, but I'm basic like that. Vera Wang is not that basic. You need to give yourself some credit. I hope Phoebe Philo's return gives a nudge to Jill Sander as well. Yeah, I would say, yeah, Jill Sander has been under like Luke and Lucy Meyer. As much as I love it, when I do look at a lot of the collections, it is very Phoebe Philo-esque adjacent, I must say. Even more so than like Peter Doe or like Daniel Lee. I think people just say the whole Phoebe Philo, Daniel Lee, and Peter Doe thing because they actually worked for her. So it's quite easy to just like draw that comparison, I think. But I think more so Jill Sander under Luke and Lucy are more adjacent than even Bottega Veneta or Peter Doe. I'm wondering what the price point will be. It'll be similar to Celine or even more expensive. I would like to believe it'll be cheaper than Celine because Phoebe Philo's name doesn't hold as much weight as Celine. It doesn't have the same heritage. So it'll be weird if it's the same price point or more. That'll just be a bit weird. I wonder if dressing like Phoebe Philo is going to be a trend as much as dressing up like Travis Scott Drake. Jinsu, you said earlier that you haven't seen like Phoebe Philo's work, apart from like hearing about it from people saying it's close to Daniel Lee and Peter Doe. What I will say is that maybe not as mainstream as Travis Scott and Kanye West because Phoebe Philo is like not a whole lot celebrity, but there was within fashion circles, Phoebe Philo was sort of like a trendsetter and almost like an influencer, if you can call her that. But a lot of people used to dress like her, like when she was at the height of her fashion powers. A lot of people used to just like see what she wore and copy it, like the complete outfit. Like that whole, what was that thing that Phoebe Philo used to do? She used to like wear a lot of, you know, the like roll necks with sneakers and stuff, and a lot of women started like dressing like that. I wonder how Daniel Lee reacted to the news. What do you think of the rumor she has a relentless working culture? I wouldn't be surprised, I guess. Also, another thing to point out is so even though the news about Phoebe Philo is coming out now, apparently she's been working on like some pieces for like 6 months. So even though the news is just coming out now, she has a whole team and they've been working on stuff in the background for a while. So hopefully that means we're going to see some amazing stuff. Regarding the price point, it's true that her name doesn't have the same weight, but have you seen how much people are paying for old Celine pieces? Yeah, but the thing is, old Celine will have more nostalgia, and that's why the price point is higher. I don't think like new ready-to-wear pieces by her will hold the same weight. It's almost like archive fashion. Like Helmut Lang now, no one really buys the ready-to-wear, but if we're talking like Helmut Lang painter jeans, then people are just happy to spend thousands of pounds on it or thousands of dollars. So I think it depends. Someone said she's kind of normcore. She is. She is. I think Bernard Arnault saw those prices and he was like, there's something going on here. All I know is whatever you say about Bernard, and there's many bad things to him, but wasn't he named like the richest man in the world recently? So it tells you a lot. He knows what he's doing when it comes to making money, even whether he's exploiting people or not. That's another story for another day. I feel like this has been rumored for a while, and this is just the actual announcement. Yep, you're right. You're completely right. It has been rumored, sorry, and she has been working on it with a team for like months and months, essentially. The show screen right now, dresses are so incredibly gorgeous. Yeah. All right. So anyway, that's kind of like the Phoebe Philo news. There's really, we've discussed everything that needs to be discussed. I guess we can talk about some of the couture collections. You guys can comment down below what you want me to talk about, and then we can talk about that next. I think one person said they want me to talk about Pyer Moss, so maybe that might be interesting to talk about. And I've also posted in the chat a link if you want to join into the conversation before I move on to the next topic. Oh, someone said Balenciaga. That's an interesting one, actually. Okay, more people are saying Pyer Moss than Balenciaga. So I think I have to... Okay, I'm going to do Pyer Moss first, and then I'm going to do Balenciaga after. I just need to, like, download the video first, and then it's kind of weird, but it's like what you have to do. Otherwise, like copyright's just gonna like shut down the stream, and that's happened before. People that have watched the streams in the past know all about that, where the stream just like ends abruptly. Let's see, Schiaparelli, Pyer Moss, Balenciaga, Dior. Someone said, let's hold on to Maria Grazia a bit. Pyer Moss might need its own video. Pyer Moss, Balenciaga, Schiaparelli, and Iris van Herpen were big ones. Big ones, yeah, I agree. Okay, let's see. There's so many talking points, especially when it comes to like Balenciaga and Pyer Moss. I always want to talk about Balenciaga before Pyer Moss, because with Pyer Moss, there's like so many layers, where my opinion on Balenciaga is a bit shorter. So it really just comes down to like what people really want. But comment down below. I want to know what you guys thought about Balenciaga and Pyer Moss especially, because I think those two have been the biggest talking point of couture season. Someone said Margiela. I haven't looked into the Margiela collection yet. So I don't really have an educated opinion on the Margiela couture collection compared to like Balenciaga or Pyer Moss or Schiaparelli. Someone said Pyer Moss had a cool concept but poor execution. My opinion's like kind of similar to that, to be fair, but we'll get into it when we start talking about it. Using all my brain cells every time I need to spell Schiaparelli. I think he spells it wrong there. I think after the P, it's an A. But yeah, if Italian's not your language, there's no shame in that. Got your magazine last week. Love it. Thank you very much. I'm glad you're enjoying the magazine. And I'm so sorry for guys who didn't be able to get who weren't able to get the print version. I'm so sorry. It's just that it makes financial sense for me to do a big print run, and I didn't calculate, or I just undervalued like how many people would actually want it. So I promise next year, I know it's a long time from now, I will print a lot more issues. And also, someone said that in my magazine there are like a lot of spelling mistakes, not realizing that like I'm from England, therefore my spellings are like in English, and therefore in British English we have like U's. That was quite interesting. Okay, I'm getting more Balenciaga opinions than anything else. So we're going to look at Balenciaga, then we're going to look at Pyer Moss. And after that, if you guys want me to talk about anything else, let me know. People are really shy today. No one wants to hop on the live. I would like post the link. Okay, cool. So this link here, wait, let me just... So this link here, if you follow it, you can like join in the live stream and share your opinions. I don't like the opinions to just be mine when I'm talking, because I feel like I have sort of an educated opinion, but having other opinions too is good. So it's not like an echo chamber of my thoughts, which is why I like other people to come on. So if you're not shy to be on the live stream, then definitely join in. Someone said, don't I use Grammarly? Yeah, I use Grammarly a lot of times, because at the end of the day, I'm human. And like, even just writing, you make a lot of spelling mistakes. Even when I write essays for like school, I'll like go to sleep and then wake up and then read through it, and it makes absolutely no sense. Or like the spellings just aren't right. I just woke up, I'm not ready. All right, let's get into the Balenciaga show. So, this is, got a lot to say about this. All right, so Balenciaga. Let's see. See if I can just like skip it to when things are happening. Okay, cool. So the thing about the Balenciaga show was this was Demna's finally first couture collection for Balenciaga. Um, Now, many good things about it and many like bad things with it. I'd say bad, it just didn't look very couture. Okay, let me just put it this way. I expected more. And you said spending ages getting the footage. I remember the days before you did streams with footage. The production quality is impeccable. Thank you very much. We've come a long way. But yeah, anyway, like I was saying about the Balenciaga couture collection, it was, yeah, someone said it was underwhelming. It was because, so if you guys have been following Demna Gvasalia's work, especially when like recent times, especially because this couture collection, it should have happened like almost years ago. I feel like people have been talking about it. At the end of the collections, there are always like gowns and sort of like couture like dresses. And I remember the talking points at the end of Demna Gvasalia's Balenciaga shows is like, oh, is this kind of like what we're going to see when the couture collections come around, when he finally does a couture collection for Balenciaga. So for the couture collection to actually happen, and then it kind of wasn't as good as I expected it would be. It was just kind of like underwhelming. But we'll get into it as the footage plays, like look by look, and I'll have like my thoughts about it. Yeah, exactly. Someone said the mixing of Cristobal silhouettes with Demna's vision has already been done so much in ready to wear. It didn't hit as hard when it was kind of the same thing. And also, not all of it, but half of the couture collection is very like ready to wear adjacent. And the whole normcore thing, it's cool for the ready to wear collection, but like for couture, I just didn't want to see that. Honestly, I really didn't want to see that. So yeah, I just didn't want to see that. Hi, Brandon. Good. Are you there?
Oh, hello, I'm here.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I thought we lost you there. Yeah. What are your thoughts on what's been going on in fashion in general?
My thoughts have been fluctuating because I'm always in the process of creating my own fashion and stuff. I double dabble with making my own garments, so I'm always studying vintage fashion. So whenever I don't see a collection by a house such as Balenciaga that doesn't I don't know, like I don't want to put my foot in my mouth, but like I don't know, I'm kind of glad that they're kind of pushing the house in a more futuristic direction, and bringing couture in a more casual light. But I still would have loved to see a more classic vintage aesthetic, bringing Balenciaga silhouettes from the 40s and 50s back.
Yeah. I think the thing about the couture collection was, like I was saying earlier, it's a bit too normcore for me. Like, I think there should be a bigger distinction between like couture and ready to wear, where it seemed a bit close, like t-shirt looks, like a denim look. And I know it's like upgraded because of the fabrics used. There was like literally a dress that was made of, I think it was like bin bags that were sort of manipulated to look like feathers. Yeah. When it's on the screen, I'll like show the look specifically. Okay. And I remember in an interview, Demna was saying that he wanted it to still have that sort of wearability to it, which couture historically has never really been about that, really.
Right. Yeah. This sorry to interrupt. So this collection kind of blurs the lines between couture and ready to wear, which isn't always, aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, someone said it was silk. What was the look with the bin bags? I swear there was one look with bin bags that actually was also manipulated, like bin bags, like a dustbin.
Oh, okay, bin bags.
Yeah. I somehow get the point that first didn't look like traditional couture, but a lot of couture shows in the last 2 seasons look like that. Just check out previous Valentino shows. I somewhat agree. I guess it's just, even though, okay, other brands do it, it doesn't necessarily make it fantastic though. Like, just because other brands do it, like, at the end of the day, the house of Balenciaga is one of the most iconic houses. And I don't think it's a bad thing to expect a lot. Balenciaga is just a bastion of disappointment at this point.
I don't
So
know.
much potential, but
I feel like Balenciaga, I still feel like there could have been more diversity in the show.
yeah, there's always that. But that's just with everything in fashion, isn't it? At this point.
Yeah, but it shouldn't take this long to, like, see that kind of hurts people's feelings when they don't see themselves being, included. But oh, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a bit sad. I like your hat, by the way.
Thank you. It's a bonnet I got it's a bonnet from Amazon. It's kind of like costumey, but yeah, it's very cute.
That's so cool.
Thank you.
It's like a fashionable version of what's that show again? The Handmaid's Tale. Have you heard of that?
I have, yeah. I haven't watched it.
Yeah.
This bonnet gives me like Little House on the Prairie meets like watching Little House on acid or something. I've never done acid, but yeah, I'm friends with Mary Jane on mushrooms.
Perfect.
What?
Someone says, I agree with the statement that Demna didn't show enough respect for couture. Yeah, I don't want to. Okay, credit where it's due. Some looks were amazing, and I'll get to it as they pass. But yeah, some looks also were just like, what is this really supposed to be in a like couture collection? And then also these silhouettes, for example, that we're looking at, he's done them for ready to wear. And it's like, if you've already done something for ready to wear, so put it on a couture collection is just a bit underwhelming. I did like the hats though.
Yeah, I see a lot of recreation of past ready to wear silhouettes, and I don't know. I don't mind repetitiveness when watching shows, but yeah, I don't know. It was a bit underwhelming, but understated.
Yeah. Like, for example, let me just pause this quickly because it's just like at the end of the day, like let's be really honest, because I don't like, especially when it comes to fashion, I don't like beating around the bush, and I don't like over conceptualizing stuff. Like, at the end of the day, if you look at this look, that really is an elevated shirt made with like exquisite fabrics, but at the end of the day, it's just like a shirt.
Yeah.
Do we really want to see stuff like that in couture collections? Like, it's just a striped shirt. Like, when you cut it down to the bare minimum of what it actually is, that's really what it is. So it's just like, when I'm looking at a Balenciaga couture collection, I'm like, if I bring my book, I have a book upstairs of like all of Balenciaga's collections from the start. If I show you guys the type of stuff that Cristobal was making and contrast it with like a stripy shirt, it's very underwhelming.
That stripy shirt could have been floor length, It could have been cinched at the waist a bit.
So in Demna's defense, I'm hoping that all the looks that didn't look like couture were made with the best materials available. They were, because I read about it. They use like very like luxe, exquisite materials. But I mean, if I make 10 different t-shirts, but I just use crazy materials, I don't think that necessarily makes it couture level. Really.
That's a good point. Well, I'll let you bring someone else in so you guys can discuss the collection.
It was great having you, even though you weren't here for long, but thanks for your thoughts.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, if you want me to stay on, I wouldn't mind staying on and maybe.
Yeah, you can stay on if you want.
Okay, cool.
I don't think a lot of people are I'm gonna share the link again. I don't think a lot of people are gonna come on. I think we have a shy audience today.
Yeah.
So you are the confident one.
Oh, thank you. It took me a lot of courage to do this. So I was like, yeah, I was like, let me slap something on and bring a little flavor to the, to the show.
Yeah.
I love that color. What would you call that color? Like a mandarin orange?
Oh, sorry, I missed it. I was looking at the comments. My bad.
Oh, you're fine.
Someone said the only thing that saved the Balenciaga is wearing. Oh my God, Jesus Christ. It's his perspective, how he feels about couture. Yeah. So I think the thing about this, and a big question that was raised after this couture collection was actually, and Pyer Moss as well, which we'll get to, is what actually is couture and like what that means for different people. Because then if we have a definition, we can better explain what is or isn't. Because I know a lot of people with the Pyer Moss show, people are just like, this isn't couture. And then it raises the question, so what exactly is couture?
Yeah.
And like historically, it was showing, like, it's all about showing your craft and how good you are at what you do and using like, it wasn't about like now where it's just about using luxe fabrics on very basic shapes. Back then, if you look at couturiers, if we're talking about like Vuitton or we're talking about Cristobal Balenciaga or even Christian Dior, it was about like how you manipulate silhouettes or trompe l'oeil. It was about all these different like really complicated technique. It was almost like just flexing how good you are as a designer, really. So I think the idea of couture has actually changed, but by definition, what couture actually is just clothing that is made to order. So realistically, that can be anything.
For like high society women. And I also heard
Yeah.
that with the couture garment, like if you were to turn it inside out, it would be just as beautiful on the inside, just as it is on the outside. You know, like that kind of like that kind of attention to detail. And I learned that from watching this documentary on YouTube called 80s Haute Couture, and lots of like 80s, like, you know, uh, designers such as Karl Lagerfeld, Ungaro, and Christian Lacroix are featured in it, discussing their work. And a lot of women who were able to afford their work at the time also, you know, are discussing the work as well.
Yeah.
And the history of haute couture.
Yeah. Someone said the shredded bin bag outfit you mentioned was actually from, was it? I must be confused. That's funny.
I don't remember seeing a bin
Imagine.
bag. Or are you thinking of the how do you say it, the Pyer collection?
Oh no, it wasn't the Piet. Someone said it was from the Schiaparelli collection, so I think they might be right. Why did I think it was the Balenciaga collection? I'm gonna have to revisit that.
It's an honest
Alex
mistake,
Alex is going off in the comments
Go off
about Demna Visalia. I think that's kind of how Demna has
That's ready
been.
to wear.
Yeah.
I would totally
It's how
wear
he's
that.
been with everything, though. He kind of does take that approach. And I just don't know how long it can continue being intelligent, because I think, okay, if we look at like Vetements, for example, what made it amazing in some ways was the fact that, yes, he was making fun about fashion. Yes, it was like a whole like sort of study on how people will buy like anything, regardless of like what you do, if you just like hype it up and stuff. And yes, it was funny at the start, but it was really intelligent, because when you look at the references behind a lot of the clothing, there was some deep stuff in it, whether he's referencing like the Georgian War. He references like a lot of like Orthodox Christian silhouettes from like Georgia, which is where he's from. All that sort of stuff made it intelligent, because it's like all these deep references within like something that's supposed to be like funny and quite comical. But he's done that over and over and over and over again, like all this like, I'm trying to break down the system thing, to the point where now I just want to see something else.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know how like much one person can do that before like it just gets a bit almost redundant.
You took the word right out of my mouth. Yeah. What's his name? I'm not too familiar with the designer's name of the House of Balenciaga right now.
Oh, Demna Visalia.
Okay, thank you. That almost looked like Stella Tennant.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
This, a lot of people hated this look because it's like an elevated track top.
It looks like a construction worker or something. like something a
It's
construction
quite,
worker
yeah.
would wear.
If you're a fashionable construction worker who
There you
like
go.
boxy
Yeah.
shoulders.
That's cute. I like
I
the
think
necklace a lot.
one part of certain times leading factors, but yeah. I guess with the way I think with the way couture is going, I think it's no longer about like what traditionally we think it is about. And now it's really just about more, like someone said, the fabrics, luxury fabrics and the quality, which is okay. But I think if like now couture is what you make it, then why is there so much backlash with Pyer Moss's um, couture collection?
To me, I would say couture nowadays, like if we want to bring it more, if we want to bring couture to a more wider audience, um, which would be more like convenient for people who can't also, who haven't always been able to afford couture. I would say it would be less more about the fabric and more about the just the creative approach you uh, take using the a minimal amount of fabric you're able to use. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that I think that's my favorite look of this collection. That one right there.
Yeah.
I am obsessed with that. I would wear that in a heartbeat.
So coming
And
from not super educated, from a viewer's perspective, I'm 100% more here for stuff that is at least interesting at Balenciaga or Pyer Moss than 90%. Well, yeah, I personally, I'm not interested in Chanel. I think Chanel has a very specific clientele. Most people that buy Chanel, and I don't want to like be judgmental, but most people that buy Chanel are normally super, super, super rich, like women who want that sort of like, because Chanel is like easily wearable and it's also comfortable to wear, so it's almost like that thing. But Chanel clothing is never like that interesting. It's never really groundbreaking. It's just
right.
what's amazing about it is just like, oh, this Chanel jacket costs £50,000 and it's got like loads of crystals on it, type of thing.
Yeah.
It's like a high
Yeah.
society thing more than it is like more fashion, new silhouettes. Especially after like Karl Lagerfeld obviously like was no longer. Yeah, that's what it's become.
With this last Chanel show, talk about underwhelming. We're in 2021 now. I still think they could have done something a little more groundbreaking with the amount of money that they have to actually push fashion forward rather than just staying in one place. It was very I don't know. It was just very too like teeny for me. Like just things I can see like an average teenager wearing. Who has rich parents, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think that they really necessarily did anything fun for me in the most recent Chanel collection. You know what I mean? Do you agree?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree. Oh,
I would
Dami's
say
here. Dami, you need to jump into a live stream. Dami's always willing to hop on.
pink is like my favorite color, so I'm living for that. That's like a shocking pink, but more of a bubble gum. I like that look.
Little
I like that
shocking
a
pink
lot.
Schiaparelli moment.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to see how fashion designers, how you can see like designers getting inspired by each other and stuff, and seeing how
Yeah,
one collection can definitely influence another, and that's always happened, and yeah.
yeah. Someone said the average rich teen doesn't wear Chanel. Yeah, young people don't wear Chanel. When I say
They
don't
don't.
wear Chanel, I'm not talking about like Chanel rings and stuff. I mean like the rich, expensive Chanel. It's old woman, like old, super rich woman. That's not like your 20-year-old like rich girl. She's not gonna wear.
Yeah,
She's
no,
gonna
I
wear
think
like
yeah,
Bottega and
but
Dior.
what I meant by that statement was I think they were trying to appeal more towards younger audience, just by the fact that look at the models who were wearing that stuff, the proportions, the sizes, um, and the materials were very lightweight from what I saw. And I don't know, it was a beautiful collection, don't get me wrong, but yeah, it was definitely just like an average
Yeah.
Jane, you know, kind of show. I was not appealed by it at all. But that's very ghostly. I love it.
Yeah, someone said Chanel's trying to cater to rich teens, but no. Yeah, it's just there's nothing.
They have them
I don't
already.
want to say trendy because trendy is not the right word, but like young people don't want to wear stiff tweed that looks like Chanel tweed. I just don't think young people want to wear that, even the rich ones.
Right. I don't mind
So
a stiff tweed. I live for a good tweed moment, you know.
not
I don't
Chanel tweed though. Not Chanel tweed.
I've never felt it, so I wouldn't know. But
Neither have I. I'm too poor. I just like seeing people wear it.
same. Yeah, no. But from like looking at those like early 90s, late 80s Chanel shows, those tweeds look very, very thick,
Yeah.
you know.
It's just like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like Chanel tweeds give me like granny vibes almost.
I love
Like
that. They're pretty light.
I'll show you like, okay, we'll go through Vogue Runway and just look at like the looks from the last couture show and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Okay.
It just gives me like grandma vibes. I don't know why, it just does.
I love grandma vibes. It's like, yeah, I do.
He's for the grandmas.
I'm honestly wearing a grandma kind of perfume right now. It's called Azure by Estee Lauder.
Oh, fancy.
Yeah, not too fancy, but it's like a green floral sheep, which is kind of my favorite smell. I like that skirt a lot.
Yeah, but doesn't the coat give you granny vibes?
Yeah, very much so, and not like cool granny, like
Wilson granny in tweed is
boring
sick.
granny. Like not the fun kind of granny, but the kind of granny that just like, you know, doesn't want to have too much fun with fashion.
Yeah. Chanel is old money and that is their superpower. I definitely agree with that. Like the type of, you know, when I was younger, right, I didn't have any idea of like who the Chanel customer was. And then when I got older and started working in fashion, I would like meet the type of people that wear Chanel, and they're normally like women who are like in their 50s or older and they're just like billionaires. So like you don't see them day to day on the street, but which is
Right.
why I never saw them growing up. I like go to fashion shows later on and like see them. I'm like, oh, these are the people that wear Chanel. That's why I never see them, because I don't have any billionaire friends.
Oh, I am in the
So I'm
same
only going to
boat.
see them at fashion shows.
I'm on the same boat. Don't worry. What was your first fashion show you've attended, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, it was a Balenciaga show, but it was ages ago. Oh, I'm trying to remember what season it was. 1 second, I'm going to find out. Because I remember the clothing and the collection. I'm just going to check. And this, okay, so backstory. I've probably told the story like a billion times, but to tell it again, how I got to go to that show was I was interning at a brand, and our seamstress also was a seamstress at Balenciaga. So he had just like invites to Balenciaga, and he was just like, "Who wants to go?" And I was like, "Definitely me."
Me, please.
And I just kind of like I +1 myself into this like Balenciaga show, and that was the first time I ever like went into any show ever, which was like a big culture shock. So yeah, that's the story.
Were you like drooling, or were you like kind of like, were you starstruck if you saw any celebrities or anything?
I think I was just kind of confused because the thing is, even though I was interning at a fashion brand, that was like the first time I started working in fashion. So I didn't actually even know that much about fashion to start with. I just thought like the idea of going to a Balenciaga show was like cool. So I don't know, if I could like go back with what I know now, I definitely would have had more fun. I would have known more people that were there. I probably didn't know half the people that were there, especially like fashion people. Whereas now I'd probably be a bit like starstruck.
Yeah.
So I think it just, yeah.
That was you like getting your foot in the door.
Was it a foot in the door? Not really, because I just went to the fashion show and like nothing came of it. I didn't like network with anyone.
Yeah, that's more of a body part than I've ever been inside of a show. That I've ever gotten inside of a show. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun, honestly. It was like a good memory. I should have taken advantage of it more though. But yeah.
I would have. Yeah, I would have been like, hey, what's your number? What's your number? What's your number? What's your number? Like networking up the ass.
Yeah. Hey, did someone say? I remember seeing a lot of Essex girls wearing Chanel imitation Dara tweeter. Really? That's so interesting. What tweeds do I like? So there's some Savile Row brands that make some suits in tweeds for men, which can be quite interesting. And I like them. They look quite interesting, like and visually appealing.
My bonnet is super wrinkly, but okay, I think I'll let you go now. I have some things to do, but it was a delight meeting you, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you some more in the future, okay?
Thanks so much for hopping on.
Thank you for having me. It was my pleasure. Have a good one.
You too. There you have it, Brandon people. Brandon's the most, you know, how did the word just skip my mind? Literally, I'm having a brain fart. The most confident to come on the live. So thank you very much, Brandon. Actually, I think now we might as well talk about Pyer Moss. Probably the most controversial couture collection of the whole like couture season. What did you guys think of Pyer Moss? Because I feel like Pyer Moss completely split opinions. Let's skip to when it starts. Okay, it's kind of like so we can talk about the background. Jamie Chu in her closet call says that she doesn't wear most of her Chanel suits. She has a huge collection because they make her look older. So if they make her look older, why would she buy it? Do people really have that much money in this world? Wow. If people are that rich, you can sponsor me. The Patreon, the link is in the description below, you know. I'm just a guy trying to live out here. People who buy Chanel, like the ones who purchase Hermes clothes, you think they exist, but you don't see them. Yeah, true. That's true because Hermes, outside of like the bags, once again, you don't see people wearing Hermes clothing until you go to like fashion shows and it's like all the rich people at the front. Because the reason why I only see these people at fashion shows is because you know the VIP clients normally get front row seats to fashion shows. So you normally see like the uber rich woman at the front row. So that's my chance to see what do these people actually wear. So I'm like always really curious. Obviously, I haven't been to a runway show in like forever. But yeah, someone said ad. Yeah, that's it. That was a quick. I slid in a quick Patreon ad. Okay, so background to the Pyer Moss collection. So this was Pyer Moss's first couture collection. And the sort of idea behind the collection was really, it was a celebration of Black invention. Of course, all of Pyer Moss's collections are a celebration of Blackness in one form or another. This collection, oh, thank you very much for joining, Brandon, by the way. This collection was more of a focus on just invention in general. So, of course, I think my problem with this collection was that the references were too on the nose, like it was too obvious. Like you would see a model wearing a phone and then you know it's a phone. That being said, maybe that was what Pyer Moss wanted to bring across. So it depends. But we're gonna bring Dami on. Dami, let's talk about Pyer Moss. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you still. Can you hear me?
I can't really hear you. I don't know. Maybe it's like your mic or something.
Let me put my mic on. I don't know. Yeah,
You're a bit silent.
for the first time ever.
He said I sold out, but you still can't afford the camera.
Hello.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect.
All right.
All right, cool. So I know you had like a whole live stream on Pyer Moss. So actually, before I continue with my thoughts and opinions, I want to know what you think.
Wait, give me a second. No, I want to reverse that. I want to know what you think first. Like,
Okay, cool. We can talk about my opinion then.
without
So
what I have to say.
obviously, it's a big moment. first of all, we don't see many black couturiers to start with, like launching couture collections, like to start with. I don't know. So I think a lot of the references could have been more intelligent. Is not the word, because that's not really the word I'm looking for. They couldn't have been so on the nose. They could have like made us think a bit more and like, oh, what could that be? Like they're a bit too obvious. Like you look at the looks and you know exactly what the collection is, like what the collection's saying, what the garment is specifically saying, what black invention it's alluding to. So I thought that was a big criticism that I had in my mind. That being said, some of the pieces were actually really good. Like I liked a lot of the silhouettes and that, you know, me saying like things were on the nose. Let me just bring up some of the looks, because there were some that I thought were the opposite, and I was like, oh, that was an intelligent way of referencing it. I'm gonna see if I can get the specific looks up. So I think maybe, in my opinion, some were just like done better than others, essentially. And as we go through it, I'll tell you which ones I feel that way about. Like, you know, the one that was referencing a typewriter.
Yeah.
That look, I really liked it. I really liked the way that was referenced. Whereas others were a bit just, yeah, it just, I wasn't feeling the way it was referenced. But anyway, what were your thoughts?
The first question I have for the chat, where's the chat? This must stream y'all. There's the chat. This is a bit too far away. Let me just do some technical adjustments here so that I can like see everything that is being said in the chat as well, because I know everybody has a lot to say about this. And I've literally spoken ad nauseum, and I think we're gonna speak about it tomorrow. So I feel like it should be my chance to let people say whatever they want to say unimpeded about me. Like, if you really want to hear my thoughts, there's a live stream on Voices in Fashion on IG that's saved. I've also got a recording that I might soon release, but I feel like the live stream on the Voices in Fashion Instagram is more than enough of what I have to say. So boom. All right, let me just break off this couture thing. Let me see. That's the coverage. Here's the slideshow. All right, so I'm following along now. Don't know whether everyone has.
Someone said, dude, it's not time to plug yourself.
It is actually. It is. It's time to plug myself.
You can do what you want on the streams. It's a free stream.
I promise you don't need to go there. I swear to God.
Someone said, I must be too obvious to get the reference of couture work or difficult to reference. Make it the important.
So what was your question to me, sorry?
Just what are your general thoughts? And then I have like other questions.
My general thoughts, like you said before, was a celebration, isn't it? And then like
well, just like blackness and black invention,
yeah, like everything. Like the weird thing about the Clubhouse talk that I had, the live one on Saturday, was that a lot of what we said was shown. So celebration of blackness, use of primary colors, what's coming first, who was first, all of that type of stuff, and being in a space based around black people. So I don't know whether anyone knows that this was done in the estate of Madam C.J. Walker, which is the first black self-made millionaire.
Yeah.
So what that means is there was millionaires before, there was millionaire women before, and millionaires before. However, but these people inherited such, right? So she was the first that made it based upon her own personal efforts. And the person who built the estate was also an architect, a black architect, I should say, and the first one to be registered in New York. So there's all of that that's happening, like just on the like, I don't know whether we want to call it the sediment. So it's the first layer, just a preamble to even like the table setting, as Carl said, before we even get to the feast of whatever couture is there. But yeah, let me Let me see what the people are saying. Bravery, get on the stream. White clothing collections collected. Nope. Younger demographic, clueless.
Also, so to answer this question, by the way, you don't necessarily, there's like not really rules to this stuff. It's just that, for example, one of my favorite designers, Alexander McQueen, I think what's so amazing about what McQueen does is like, the more you research, the more stuff you find out he was referencing. And it's even more, it makes you be like, whoa, this is crazy. Like, I didn't even see this reference. Like, the way McQueen used to reference stuff was just so otherworldly intelligently. So I think it just depends on what type of designer you are. I think there's also ways of referencing things obviously, but because the construction is so complicated, that's where the intelligence is. So there's no rules at the end of the day. It just really depends on the designer and what your strengths are.
Like, my first thing would be to everyone in the chat is like, did you even know that all of these things was referencing Black inventions? Like, was that even on the nose for you when you were watching the show? Or were you like, this is what I expect of couture, and then you looked at the collection and you were like, this doesn't really look like couture to me?
A lot of people did do that though. Obviously, I think because it's us and we follow Pyer Moss and stuff, we kind of just knew what it was referencing just by looking at it. Probably most people, it wasn't on the nose for. So, like, okay, for example, this peanut butter jar, a lot of people said it's like costume, not couture or whatever, but like, there's many other brands I can point to that do the same level of costume, but don't get the same flack for it. So, I mean, the opinion does have to be balanced across the board.
There's literally Victor and Rolf who did women in paintings, breaking through paintings and talking about women being work of art and all of that stuff. Was that too on the nose for some people? I don't know. I'm just asking a question here.
Yeah. Either way, I still did think that he could have done more. Like I said, for me personally, some of the references for me were executed better than others. I think it really comes down to like, I need to see if there's an interview where he talks about like his intentions with the collections. Like, was it supposed to be that on the nose? Was he trying to bring his point across that way? Like, I feel like there's a lot of questions I have in my head that if he answered would give me a better understanding.
Yeah, I think like you found the L article that I read as well, that like had like directly what he said about the collection and stuff like that. I don't know what else is out there though. We'll see. Like, obviously, like, we both have people that know him and like just talk to him. So further along the line, we're probably gonna discover more about it, and like just like, you know, through the grapevine and whatnot. So we'll see what
Yeah.
But yeah, some of them were on the nose for me and direct, and like this is one of my favorite looks right here. I wish they were boots though, but they're not. They're like mad, like thigh warmers. They're like really long, but like it's beautiful to me. And like this is like the other thing with it is like this is couture, right? So this has not like, people can't talk about couture, right, just on is it or isn't it, right? Because
we had that conversation earlier on like what exactly does couture mean, because like with the Balenciaga show, for example, I was saying that it was extremely underwhelming, especially considering like the looks we used to get at the end of Demna Vesalia's collections that were kind of like an ode to sort of like, I'm going to do couture soon, so let me give you a few looks just as a teaser. And then when the actual couture collection came, everything was like very ready to wear Jason. So once again, the Balenciaga show was very underwhelming, completely underwhelming for me at least. And at least here we're getting something new. Like I said, once again, some references done better than others. But actually, this collection did interest me more than the Balenciaga show, just because most of the stuff outside of like the way the fabrics were manipulated, but if we're talking about like silhouettes, I've seen them already. Truthfully, in Demna Vesalia's couture show.
Truthfully, Demna done more rapping than like constructing. If we're gonna be like really anal about it, he didn't necessarily like construct a lot of what he did. He used the new technique that's out that everybody's using. Like we've seen it in Rick's show, we've seen it in Prada show, and there's one other show that I know that we've seen it in. And he done a lot of rapping, and obviously that's an ode to the 50s and whatnot. So like just off on that, like, and that's not saying that I didn't like some of the rapping that was done, but there's also a designation that can be said some of the rapping is messy and some of the rapping was too on the nose for what he was supposed to do. So like it wasn't even, so it was like a direct reference from the past and it wasn't new. But this is the thing, like some people don't like really use that mental capacity or just don't have like a massive knowledge base of rapping in the 50s or in the 40s or in the 30s, like to even understand.
Yeah.
I feel like I disappeared the like live stream.
Yeah, you froze. You froze. You
yeah,
froze.
like where did I freeze at? Where did I freeze at?
Yeah.
Can you hear me still?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right, yeah. So yeah, like it's a reference from the past that's been brought back today, and this is some people's first reference point to rapping. So here's what it is really. Like you can there's big like couturiers from the past that you can look at and say this rapping is phenomenal and all of that stuff. Like, but it is what it is. Like you can make your own personal decision about that. Like and but the color looks on Balenciaga for me, and I'm talking about Pyer Moss. Like just on to wrap that up, the color looks were interesting to me, like the colors that he picked. But like you said, like just on this one, like some of them on the nose. But couture is an invitation, right? So you have to be part of the federation. You get invited, and you're there.
That's haute couture, isn't it? Not necessarily
it's haute couture. Yeah, so it's like it's not a what is this? It's quite literally is like it's not for us guys to say anymore. Like unless we work for the Federation or the Chambers, like who gives a fuck, bruv? For real.
Do you know the thing though? It's like I don't want to be like overly critical of like especially like Demna, but do you know the issue I have with like Demna, for example?
Put up the show. We're not really talking about this one anymore.
We already talked about it, but we can talk about it again.
Yeah.
We did already talk about it. We can go back to it, but okay, I'll put it up. But essentially, the reason why what Demna has been doing recently doesn't impress me is because, like, okay, for example, at CSM, there's a guy that graduated a few years back called Gareth Wrighton. And Gareth Wrighton is like one of the like marquee graduates from CSM in the past few years. He studied, I think it was FCP, so like imaging and promotion. He's been like part of Fashion East. He does everything like photographer, stylist, designer. And one of the projects that he did at CSM, which obviously, you know, like projects that students do at CSM, like me being a current student, we get to see all of them because they're like, this student, when they're in this year, they did that. And like Gareth Wrighton, I think it was in his second year, this is years ago, created like a whole game. So like Gareth Wrighton learned to code and created a whole like fashion game.
Yeah.
And then more recently, like Balenciaga did it, and I just was not impressed, not even in the list in the slightest, because I've seen students at CSM do it. So it's like, and you know what happens? Like the problem with like knowing too much is like, for example, I've had friends who in the past have worked for Demna at Balenciaga, and the process of the way it works is that the interns do all the research for the collections. They present the research to the like senior members of the team and Demna, and then Demna looks at the research and picks what he likes out of all the research they've done, and then mixes it with maybe ideas that he has, which means that half of the collection is not even really his ideas to start with. And like there's so many elements to it that is like you have one job. Like there's people, I know like the way the structure works at Balenciaga, so it's like it's not like you have so much time to think of like what you're going to do aesthetically, creatively. Yeah, someone said that's how it works in most brands. Exactly, which is why like as a creative director, when you launch something like a couture collection that is basically elevated like stripy t-shirts, it's just not, I'm just not impressed. I'm sorry, I'm just not impressed. And like personally, like I get it, like some people, oh, they love them or whatever, but personally, like as a career, I want to be a journalist. It's like what I study at school. And like I deeply look at like what has come in the past, and it was underwhelming. It was very underwhelming.
Yeah. I'm trying
And
to
what did Alex say? It's easy to justify ruining institutions simply because of relativism, but that justification is arbitrary as an institution in the first place.
Hold on a second, bro. You got a lot of multiple syllabic words there. Please. I'm just a normal human being.
He said I'm just a normal human being.
Yo.
Oh, I mean, you never got to Alex is amazing. We used to
I'm joking, but yeah, that's
so
funny.
for guys who I'll give you guys a background story on Alex actually. So Alex used to be in this Instagram group chat. We used to be in this like Instagram group chat. We used to have like seriously deep discussions about like fashion, and we would like argue all the time. It was actually so much fun. I miss those days. Now no one argues. Like I try to argue with people and they don't have anything to say to me, and it's so annoying.
Yeah. No, people don't like when I argue, fam. People get stiff when I start getting into my bag. So that's why I came on the live stream so subtle on that. Like, because if I really go in on because yeah, I'm not like. Anyways,
yeah, this is a good point though. Just reading it.
Yeah. Wait, let me actually read it like I'm using my brain, because when he started talking about justification, relativism, arbitrary, I actually have to use my brain for that stuff.
But Alex, isn't this basically what Demna does though? At this point.
Wait, put that back up. Sorry, I wanted to actually absorb what he said. Where is it? I'm trying to find it. It's easy to justify destroying relativism. Damlari is like
they said you're a hit man.
I'm just a normal man. But no, nobody wants to argue with me. It's fine. It's fine.
The fashion hit man.
I don't mind. It's fine. If you don't have like a small knowledge of like what's it called? Judith says modern history. When you told me that, I was like, I need to do more research. I thought 100 years was enough. Now I'm in like the 800s AD, fam. Looking at leather armor and that, fam. It's funny.
What was I going to say? Dammy, what's your response to Alex's comment there?
But justification is arbitrary. Is as arbitrary as the institution in the first place. Why tear down barriers just to rebuild them poorly? Here's my thing, right? Okay, fine. You said that, right? Makes sense, depending on who's doing it. So, first and foremost, we're talking about fashion here, right? So, all we can do is commentary, designing commentary and talk in commentary. Outside of that, unless you're someone who talks to people that do politics and people that read books, et al. Myself, and everything else.
Slight flex. I'm joking.
Is what it is, like fucking. And there's more books over there, but like there's people that are doing stuff in action, and we could be talking to those people that are doing stuff in action regardless, isn't it? So it's like understanding history, like you said, but also understanding what people have done to get to this space. So we're making commentary in fashion, like first and foremost, like because I want us to like actually be grounded in the conversation if we're gonna have it. Like, we're talking about fashion here. We can't necessarily go too deep. Nigga in Haiti just got shot down and we don't know who done it. Like, there's some people that saying they done it, but shit, Levi's factories over there. America needs people to be able to be used so that they can make denim for America. So this is the thing, like, we're talking about fashion. And in fashion, in Haiti, biggest industry, however, Haiti is still a political playground. So when we're making these commentaries, as much as it's fashion, there's also another level of commentary where it's like, what are we using and who are we affecting when we buy certain fabrics? So there's that. So yeah, like, and if you want to get to the next level, because it's not arbitrary, it's actually in 40, 50 years or in 30 years, we're going to be the old people. We're going to be the making the rules. So it's us now that has to be making the decisions today, so that when we're ready to be able to put something in action, we know how our mind should work. And it's the people that are organized on the right side of history, or should I say on the right side of their mindset. So the ones that are organized will be the ones that actually create ordinance. And that is where it is, because we're only talking in our 20s right now. Like when we're 50, it's not going to be arbitrary. I promise you. I promise you. I promise you.
What an unexpected. Yeah, it's what Demna does, but it doesn't mean it's good. At least he used to be led. Yeah, that's basically what I explained earlier.
Get out of Demna. Get out of Demna, because this, like, we're talking about.
That's what I explained when I was talking about like Vetements and how it was intelligent compared to like now he's just done the same thing over and over again. That's why I said he what he does doesn't impress me anymore. Which I know makes a lot of people sensitive, because it's like in fashion. Sometimes, are we echoing? Am I echoing or something?
No, you're good still on my side.
Yeah. In fashion, what happens is we put designers on a pedestal. Well, people do. I don't, but people put designers on a pedestal to where they can't like make a bad collection. Because I don't like. I notice it happens a lot in fashion, which is fine. Once again, like not everyone has to like start reading deeply or whatever, but if you're going to analyze a designer's work, it has to be based on some sort of like knowledge base. And just because you've held, let's say, Demna in this specific example to a certain standard, that in your head he's like a master of tailoring or whatever, if he does the same thing 6 seasons in a row, it's boring. Regardless of if you think he's like the best tailor in the world or whatever, he hasn't really evolved. And the best designers evolve. The best designers evolve. If we look at history, like okay, for example, if we 20 years from now, what are we going to know Demna Gvasalia for? Like, what's going to be his stamp on fashion?
Oh, that's a hard question. That's a hard question. My question would be, how many hits does it take for you to put a 6-inch nail into a piece of wood for it to get to the base?
What?
Okay, no, I'm like, we're talking foundations here. You have a nail 6 inches.
I'd love to see where this is going.
How many hits does it take for you to
triple S
for you to get to for it to go all the way through? This is my question. Like, because we gotta make it simple here. How many hits does it take? Is it just one, or is it multiple? Because the reality of it is, when you're actually trying to philosophize, it's not just one time that you say it. Like, it can't just be one article. It's a series of articles. It's a series of books. It's a series of determining like follow-throughs that you have to put through. Like, it is what it is, isn't it? Like, you have to, like, because I don't know how to do modern examples. I'm so sorry. I'm a very old person when it comes to but this is the thing. It's repetition. At the end of the day, it's repetition. You gotta repeat for some people. Now, this is the thing. Has everyone got it? Is it in the zeitgeist? Is it at the forefront of everyone's minds? Like, this is the thing. And like, we can go back to Pyer Moss here. He is doing it consistently, but at the same time, there is so much history that you can go through that he can be doing the same thing over and over again, and it still won't be at the forefront of everyone's mind because it hasn't permeated throughout the interspace of everybody. Like, not everybody knows all of those Black inventions, and even still, those were only 26. And even still, I don't even know how many people went to the Library of Congress to look at all of the inventions made by Black people. And that is the answer. So that's the reality of it. So he could do 6 more collections of that, and probably still not go through everything. Like, we ain't seen Jack Daniels at all. Like, we ain't seen other black inventions that have come throughout history. We ain't seen the hip hop. Obviously, we've seen these jazz reference, the musical reference from the last collection and stuff like that. But there's so many stuff that he can just do based off blackness.
Shout out Keezy, by the way.
Anyways, I'm off it. I'm sorry. It's just the way I am. I don't apologize, but quite literally. You gotta get through it, man. You gotta get through it because people don't read. Do you know how fucking hard it is?
To reply to this, however, I heard this the other day. Any critique that is negative is just showing off. It really just depends on like where it's coming from. If it's just like saying something's negative just to say something's negative with no like point to back it up, then it's like a redundant statement, not really an opinion. I think an opinion is like it has to be backed by some sort of like knowledge base. And once again, like it just depends on who. If the person in question is just saying everything's negative, then it's a bit different to like saying some things are positive, some things are negative. Because even like within Demna's work, there's stuff I like. It's just recently it's not been my cup of tea. The Schiaparelli show, there's things I like. There's stuff that's on my cup. Like I can talk about the Schiaparelli show, for example. So Daniel Roseberry, I think he's doing amazing work at Schiaparelli. I really did love the last couture collection. I do think, though, and this is where the criticism comes in, Schiaparelli was more than just surrealism. And when a lot of people focus on the work of Elsa Schiaparelli, they just focus on the surrealism part, which is basically what Daniel Roseberry is doing. Schiaparelli is known for so many different things, not just like the color pink or surrealism. Like she has done so much fabric innovation. Like she used to use polyester, which now seems a bit crazy, but at the time it was seen as like a futuristic fabric because polyester, like a plastic, was sort of like this industrial fabric that was futuristic because no one really used it in the context of luxury fashion, or even the use of plastic zips, because once again, the use of plastic was not really, well, it was kind of hard to come by plastic because it's not now that it's easily accessible. So if you want to do a Schiaparelli collection, I think something that should be at the forefront of a Schiaparelli collection, as much as like say surrealism and stuff, is fabric innovation, because that is what the House of Schiaparelli stands for. If you look at like the history of it, and I think there's less of a focus on that and more of a focus on surrealism. So that would be my like criticism, for example. Doesn't mean I don't like it though. I still like it. Yeah, Schiaparelli was the first to use zippers on clothing, exactly. So it's just, that's what I'm saying. You can like and dislike things about. It's not like I just completely hate everything about every collection. I'm not like a pessimist. Wait, I think it's so weird they never get called out for cultural appropriation. Who are we talking about?
Yeah, I looked at that comment as well. I was like, wait, we spoke about 3 designers here. And nigga, I am profound.
For me, I don't know if you remember, for his outskirts of Europe / post-Soviet aesthetic, the collection cast in particular was quite his go-to people. You know what? It's kind of weird because okay, so for example, with Demna's aesthetic, when you talk to someone, like I was talking to someone who's from Serbia a few months ago, and she was basically saying that what Demna does is basically what she sees like grandmas wear. And obviously I don't have that sort of context because I'm not like Eastern European. However, it does seem like Demna does lift a lot of his culture and just plaster it on the runway, which once again, there's nothing really wrong with that. If that's your culture, then use it. But in the context of like making the prices so expensive, a lot of like Eastern Europeans themselves, from what I've heard, have a lot against it. So it is like more complex than we like give it credit for.
Did I write that in an article? I may have. I don't know.
Genesis, like, what do you love? There's a lot of things I love. Jeez. I love Balenciaga. No, I'm joking. Okay, present stuff. Let me see. there's just not a lot to love right now. Like I used to be the biggest fan of Andy Millamista, but like now the house is just this awful.
You're so funny.
It's terrible. I'm sorry. I was like the biggest. I was the biggest Andy Millamista
Oh
fan.
man, that's so funny.
He said, "Only thing I love is my mum and Andy."
That's funny. No, it's not funny. Wait, yeah, that is quirky. That's quirky. Yeah, don't know if there's anything to love right now. That's real. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's cute. It's kitsch.
Like, yeah, Andy is just a shell of itself ever since Sebastian Munier left. So there's that. Let me actually sit down and have a think. I love Tebe Magugu. I think Tebe Magugu has been making amazing work. I really like what he's doing. I love what Tebe is doing.
But love is such a strong word. Like,
but I do love what he's been doing.
Like, I like a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, more so the women's wear than the men's wear. I definitely prefer Tebe's like women's wear by far to the men's wear. Who else I like what they're doing?
I like people's use of fabric. That's what I like. Actually, that's what I love. Sorry, not like.
So who specifically do you like their use of fabric?
The Italians, Rick, Tebe. Who else? That's just off the top of my head. So
by Italians, who do you mean? Do you mean like Prada?
Yeah, those are the only ones that can afford it. Like, I like Sam Ross's use of fabric today. I used to like Kiko's use of fabric back in the day. Like his like
Alex just talked about Kiko. I used to be a big Kiko fanboy too. I haven't the past couple of collections I'm not sure. I wouldn't say I don't like them, but there's other stuff
I wouldn't say I don't like it either, but I don't know.
Yeah, past collections have definitely I've preferred. I won't say they're like better or worse, but I definitely preferred them personally.
It's interesting though.
Rick, the problem with Rick is like and I remember I was talking to some like this Rick head, I'll call him, I won't say his name, so people won't know like who he is or like go to him and send him a message. But he's like a big Rick fanboy, and even he was saying that Rick's aesthetic is starting to get a bit stagnant, especially in terms of like the way things are being styled. So yeah, and honestly, I've thought about Tebe. Obviously, if I sit down and really think about it, I could give you a lot of brands that I really like what they're doing. But in general, I think fashion has been a bit slow. There could be many reasons for that, including COVID. So yeah, it just is what it is. I'm not like a pessimist or anything. Like genuinely, if I like stuff, I'll say it. I'm not trying to be like, oh, that fashion guy that just it's so hard to please. Like that is not what I'm trying to do. Arturo, actually, from what I've seen, I do like the stuff, but I'm not too educated on Arturo's work. Not a lot of it, but some of it does look like similar to stuff I've seen Sebastian Munier do at Andy Millamista.
There's 30 years of Rick, I swear. Something like that, right?
I'm not a Rick head. I couldn't tell you how long Rick has been going on for.
30 years or something. Let me research it for a second. I'm pretty sure it's easy to find. There's a lot of people that love Rick. Yeah, it says.
What's the next topic? I'm liking how the live stream has expanded into some deeper conversations. Are there any more topics people want us to cover?
There's 1994 it says, but yeah, 30, like that's a long time. That's like what, 25 years or something, like 26 years now. So yeah, like that's a long time to have that many collections and looks.
GmbH, I did like it actually. I did. Obviously, GmbH by nature is a more commercial brand. So like when I judge GmbH, I judge it within that realm. But as far as that's concerned, I did like their last collection.
A lot of people like what's it called? Y Projects.
Once again, Y Projects is one of those brands that is starting to get stagnant, like Rick. What's the guy? Glenn Martins, yeah. He's been a bit... Actually, I shouldn't say that because I want to interview Glenn Martins and there's a chance I could. So I'm just going to take that back.
Yeah, if only you could snip a live stream before it goes out to YouTube. Want to get in this Fashion Voices pub session.
Wait, Genesis, didn't you move to like Antwerp? I swear the last thing I heard of you, you like moved to Antwerp. I'm actually coming to Antwerp in September. So if you're there, I'm definitely going to see you. I'll hunt you wherever you are.
Who's it? What have you seen the first Diesel collection by Glenn? Yeah, I think we covered that on Voices
Yeah,
in
we did.
Fashion. Yeah, people kind of liked it, I guess. It's
Yeah.
interesting though. It depends. It depends on who's designing now, because I feel like a lot of people are. Let me see if I can use the right words for this. A lot of people come from the same place. And
Diane, look at Diane said, I love that. If only you could sniff a live stream.
that's funny. But yeah, let me think about this. A lot of people come from the same place and know some of the same things, so use a lot of the things that they know, and it may look repetitive depending on who knows what. There we go.
Good point. Someone said, I'd say more consistent than stagnant. Okay, let me clarify. So when I use the word stagnant, what I mean is like, is not like as negative as it sounds. It's basically like, if you had bought clothing from the 2 Y Project seasons before, there's no reason why you'd buy something from this collection, essentially, because they're that similar to each other. In other words, that's what I mean by like stagnant.
Yeah,
So like, there's not been enough like innovation, collection to the point where if you had like clothing from the past 2 seasons, you could justify buying more. Unless you're just like, you want to blow money, then that's different.
people like the role. That's interesting. A degree consistent, but it's not repetitive. Entire
Someone
safety.
said if it's not broke, don't fix it. I agree, but there's
That's
many designers who I can look to who don't have like similar collections, collection to collection, but the aesthetic is so similar, aka Comme des Garçons, for example. Even Schiaparelli, like on the nose, they kind of look similar, but when you look at the pieces individually, they're quite different. Couture collection to couture collection. So it depends. It depends. Someone said the row is overrated. I just never really look at the row. I look at the row as like minimal clothing that's overpriced. That's like how I look at the row, and that opinions is never going to
crazy.
change.
Yo, I could never say anything like that. People would be on my neck, fam. People would literally be on my neck if I said anything like that. They'd be like, "Who's this guy who thinks he can talk about fashion?" Insert, insert aisle clip. Who's this black kid who thinks he can talk about fashion? Nigga.
It's true though. See, I agree with what Genesis said. The row is literally based off Hermes, Margiela, and Celine. Literally, if you just like, if you have a pot and you mix those 3 things together, and then you add £1,000 to the price point of like each clothing item, then you have the row.
Oh, so wait, you're saying Hermes, Margiela's Hermes and Celine,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, okay then. Because
yeah, because
like,
Margiela's Hermes
yeah,
was
yeah,
more
yeah,
like minimal
yeah,
than
yeah. Because I thought he said Hermes, Margiela, and Celine. Like I was like, I didn't
No,
get that
not
one for a second. It went over my head for a split second. What are your thoughts on Ernest with Baker? Do you like hearing the word Baker? Do you like butter and
Oh,
Nina
I love
Simone
butter. I need to
and
stop using
Nina
the word
Simone?
love. I like butter.
Yeah, I like butter as well. I
Yeah.
like their Nina Simone too. It's like
Isn't what's this guy's name? Rishemi Bossa. Isn't he
yeah,
also the creative director of like Nina Rishi?
yeah. Oh wait,
I
yeah, it's
think.
Nina Ricci, not Nina Simone.
Yeah.
Look at me getting names wrong.
Isn't Nina Simone like a singer or something?
No,
Or like
wait,
an
yeah,
actress?
yeah, it is still it is. That's gang shit right there.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny. I loved what Margiela did for Hermes. Butter is excellent ingredient, but can't. Anyways, bacon. Phoebe Philo, Stan Smith collab. Okay. Yes, creative directors of Nina Rishi. That's the one.
There we go. Yeah. Because I do
Yeah,
like
because
I like
Rushemi's gang. I know someone that
yeah.
knows him. I'm like one person away from him. Hopefully, I can get him to speak to me soon.
You two are too young. Do you know what's funny about like me giving my opinion on the live stream? I know, like, you know, when we give our opinions, we piss so many people off because basically, so I was at a lecture at school one time and they were talking about like the stages of being a fashion journalist in the industry. So they were like, when you first start, you just like do whatever they tell you to do, and then you upgrade into like making like think pieces like op-eds, and then after op-eds you might be given like the ability to be the one that breaks a news story, and then when you break a news story then you might be given like your own column, which means you can actually give your opinion. So like a Tim Blanks has his own column at like BOF, for example. So like when any collection drops, Tim Blanks can just like write what he wants essentially. And they were like, you can't overstep your boundaries in like each of those like stages.
It's real though.
And I remember when my lecturer was saying it, I was just laughing because I'm like, do you know how many of those journalists are probably looking at me like, bro, you're still a journalism student. Shut up.
That's gang right there. I love that shit, bro. I love that shit. I've low key like slowed down on giving what my real thoughts are. But if someone else, I'll tell them. I'll definitely tell them.
It depends though. Like, so obviously I can on my YouTube channel because I can, but like when I'm working, like for example now working at BOF, I don't give my opinion on anything. I just like keep quiet. I just I just do what they tell me to do because my lecturers already told me like don't overstep your boundaries or it's not going to end well for you because there's too many egos in fashion. And it happened to me once. I remember I was working in this job and my boss said something about like some trend that was started by some brand. I can't remember. And I remember telling her, oh, but this designer did it before you, before that person. And then my boss was like arguing with me like mad. And then the CEO of the company was also in the room and he made it worse because he made a joke of it. And he was like, ooh, Io. And he was like, I'm on Io's side on this one. And it just made it worse. And then she was like, my boss, not the CEO, my boss was like so adamant on it. She fully went to check and she was wrong. And then she tried to find some like excuse, and you could tell that she was so pissed off. And I suffered for that, you know. She like gave me more work. I worked like more overtime because of that. So like after that, I never did it again.
That's beautiful. I could never survive.
I never did it again.
I could never survive there. I don't.
Do you know what it is? Do you know what it is? I think what the older like generation of like fashion people forget is that like our learning of fashion is so accelerated because we have so many resources compared to like when they were like learning about fashion. So like we have the internet, we've got books, but we've also got PDFs. Like there's so many things. So like they just look at me as like, oh, you're 23, what could you possibly know? They don't know that like my life literally revolves around fashion. Like all I do when I go to bed is like read articles or like watch runway show. That's all I do. So they're just thinking, he doesn't know, I'm gonna show him, and then I get into trouble.
Yeah, fam. No. Yeah, I don't like unless it's about blackness, then I'll definitely speak up. But yeah, outside of that, like I don't really like. I don't know. Like I've kind of got away from talking too much about fashion. As much as I know, I'm just like
because exactly the story is the reason why I'll never go into fashion journalism.
Like,
yeah, a lot of egos.
I'm just like I
terrible.
don't know what it is. I think I might be like a visitor because you know, like you're not like any sort of percentage of people that are actually in fashion anyways. So it's like, who is this black kid talking about fashion? And it's like, yo, like, and I've literally lived my life just like researching white people, like quite literally lived my life like for the past like 12 to 15 years, like thinking about white people. No, that is actually mad because it really is like that, because like from sculpting to pottery to pen, Like,
Someone said, "Oh, do you
oh,
think you also overestimate your knowledge?" No, not really. Like someone
no,
like Tim Blanks obviously knows way more than me. So it just depends
no.
who I'm
If you
talking
know
to.
something, you know something. It's not an
I mean,
overestimation.
in general though, like because
Yeah,
he's just had more time and been really involved in fashion. But like, okay, on specific topics, obviously not every single thing
yeah.
in life he'll know more, but in a general sense,
But you did just compare yourself to Tim
even
Blank.
yeah, at school, like no one should compare me to Tim Blanks. Literally, like he's stop that. But anyway, moving forward. My lecturers, for example, even just based off that, they know like they give you an understanding of like where you sit in terms of like your fashion knowledge.
Yeah.
Because, for example, in one of our classes, we had to make this like timeline of fashion in the 20th century, and there's so much stuff I didn't know. I was like, whoa. And then I remember just like writing everything down, like, yep, I need to know that. I need to know. So like you learn very quickly, especially like if you study fashion journalism,
Yeah.
that you don't know much at all, really. That being
Mm.
said, there aren't that many people that are like fashion encyclopedias. I have one lecturer that's like that. There aren't many of people like that in fashion at all.
No,
So in
people,
general, like a lot of people that are big names are
yeah.
not as like knowledgeable as
They're
you
just
think they are, to be honest.
contemporary. They're contemporary writers. They've lived through a certain period and they've accumulated enough knowledge, being the sit in the back when you're 20s and then, you know, kind of speak up when you're in your 30s. And now, because you've lived through about 25 years of fashion, you can recall certain stuff. But the reality is that if you spent a bunch of your life just absorbing knowledge in your early 20s, you're definitely different. And it's just pure evolution. Like like Jordan and LeBron are just two different people. Like, and it's like a
I like
different,
that
like,
analogy.
it's a different game today. Yeah, better than the 6-inch nail analogy, isn't it? Jordan and Jordan and LeBron are just two different animals, and LeBron and like Giannis are just two different animals. It's just a simple evolution of the game. Shout out to Gilbert Arenas, fam.
Someone said most important thing, you always have to be open to learning. You always do. And I think school has made me realize that I know okay, I basically know nothing in the grand scheme of like fashion history. Like there's so many things to learn, so many designers to learn about. It's unbelievable. Like Diane liked your 6 nail 6-inch nail.
Thank you. Thank you, somebody who's probably built something in their life.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy. Some people have never built anything and only use a power drill. Look at you people. Have never built a chair.
Yeah. I do
Yo,
just think though that what the worst part about fashion is just like how the hierarchy works, because like the problem is like for me, for example, I never think I know everything, and I think also part of it comes from school because I quickly realized, yeah, you know nothing, Aya. But with people that work in fashion, especially like senior people, they think that like they know everything about fashion that ever happened, which is bad. You never want to get to that point where you think you know
yeah,
everything, because no one does. And then they have this ego where like even if you like try to tell them something, especially like if it's someone like me who's younger, they're just gonna look at you like,
yeah,
is this 23-year-old trying to
yeah,
tell me something about fashion?
bro.
And they take it so personally, and that's how you get fired.
The average
Literally.
career today is like 20 years or 15 years or something nowadays. Before it was 40 years. Like no one's gonna know everything throughout the history of history. That's just wild, first of all. And you've already even said previously that there's a fallacy in that, just knowing too much, because now you're bouncing your head throughout history when sometimes you're just looking for enjoyment. And that's part of the fun of fashion, is just enjoyment. And that's what happened to me in film as well. Like you get so technical on the BTS, like you're like, where did the enjoyment go? Like you're in school and you're like, I know a bunch of stuff now about making, but when I look at a film, all I'm doing is dissecting. And then it makes you want to take a step back. And then that's where like you get all these kids today either comparing themselves to you or comparing themselves to people in fashion and being like, I don't really, and then a lot of people bow out, and it's like, fam, like I'm here to enjoy. I'm not really here to like argue with white people, especially like.
Diane's so funny. I never built a chair.
Diane is funny. I don't know whether anyone's ever spoke to that, but Diane is funny. But yeah,
if you guys don't know who Diane is like a fashion legend, if I say so myself. She's like one of the like earliest like fashion bloggers.
She's a pioneer.
Like one of the pioneers of like fashion blogging. So the reason why I exist is because her generation of like fashion bloggers.
She launched
fashion blogging, and then
Sartorial. I think also Sartor. What's that Sartorial guy called? What's his name? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So Styles like guys, Sartorial, and then like a bare other people whose names I don't really know because I'm not really in fashion like that, unfortunately. But it's cute. I'm kitsch.
Someone asked me what my end goal is actually.
Before Brian Boy.
No, not. I don't want to be mean, but like not. Anyway, what's my end goal? So, my end goal with fashion is I want to have my own publication
ever in fashion and raw fashion media.
What? I want to have my own like publication which essentially focuses on fashion in a totalitarian way, because I felt like a frustration I always had in fashion is that people focus on the same brand over and over and over again. And you can kind of see it in like the first issue of my magazine. I focus on brands in a wider spectrum and like brands that you maybe haven't heard about. So it's just like broadening the conversation. Like, who are the designers in Serbia that no one hears about? Who are the designers in Turkey that no one hears about? So that's going to be like the USP of my kind of like bringing a more global conversation to fashion rather than the Uber, Paris, Milan, London, New York conversation that it is, with sprinkles of China and Japan sometimes. So yeah, that's my end goal with fashion, really, honestly.
Yes.
He said I'm a dictator. Yes. Totalitarian.
You gotta be yes. like that kid that said profound. Nah, nigga. When you're 30, you understand that analogy.
Also, the show on the screen, sorry, I forgot to say, I'll restart it, is Uma Wang. I just put it randomly because I'm just a big fan of Uma Wang.
Yeah, so, you just like doing that, innit? You just like.
And I do plan on making a video on Uma Wang. It's just like time. I've been like really busy with school, but now it's summer. I'm like, as you guys have seen, I'm more consistent now on YouTube. So expect that video to come out at some point, whenever it comes out.
Yeah. Oh man. Bada son.
Yeah, I listen to Mondi's podcast. I love it. The cutting room floor, so good.
Does she still do? She's got a new one out, right? Some people have been posting a podcast episode from the cutting room floor. I don't know whether
someone said to take Anna's position. No, I'd never want to be like head of Vogue. No way.
Condé Nast. No, she's the head of Condé Nast.
Head of Condé. Yeah, sorry, Condé Nast. I'd never want
the magazines in Condé Nast. That's interesting. Bada son. Through the last part, like you niggas.
Yeah, I just don't.
To CSM or link and start exclusively doing journalism about.
Oh yeah, Alex, you wanted to. I forgot what year you're in. Are you in like first or second year of A levels? Because I know you wanted to study design. I think at CSM. It's so cool. I feel like I have a whole friendship group at school now. One of my like really good friends, he got into CSM for next year to do an MA. So that's going to be really exciting. I'm just going to see like his whole like design process. That's going to be fun. Plans for Antwerp. So basically I'm going to like Antwerp just to like see the fashion scene, interview a few people, network with a few people like down there. It's been like in the works for a while. So yeah, that's why I'm like going to Antwerp. It's like, but purely fashion reasons.
From DVF on branding, who do you think I should also study from?
Study from?
It's hard to study from people.
Maybe you should look at Balenciaga in terms of marketing. I think if there's one thing that like Demna does, for example, marketing wise, not necessarily branding, but marketing, I think he's one of the best. I'm not sure how many like case studies there are on like how he markets, but yeah. Yeah, I've heard that Royal Academy of Fine Arts in Antwerp, the master show is like really, really good. I feel so bad that I missed it, but yeah. Wait, you don't have A-levels in Ireland? Oh, damn.
What do you do in Ireland? Is it just college?
I didn't know that. So it's 2 years of secondary school left. Oh, so you just finished secondary school at 18. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Oh wait, people do well. Here, people have to still stay in school until they're 18, but
Yeah.
they can go to sixth form or college. So you literally have to be in secondary school till you're 18 with the same people for what? How many years is that? That's crazy. Could never be me. I'm so sorry. Wait, it's high. Wait, so it's you said secondary school, not high school. So it's quite literally the same thing. So it's not
Yeah.
like they don't even have middle school and then high school.
How was my first year? At first it was hard. I got like a rude awakening at first.
Did you think you know a lot? You knew a lot, did you?
Um,
Because you knew more than your peers just off age.
okay, so I thought that I knew not a lot because I knew that where I was going, I would probably know that I didn't know much like very quickly. It was more so what I thought I knew was smaller than what I thought it was, basically. And also the process of like how they expect you to be as a journalist, I just wasn't used to it at the start. Like I've told the story before, but I can tell it again. So over the summer, before I actually went to school, they gave us an essay to write. And this essay, we just thought it was just, they gave you a summer project. We haven't even gone to school. So we're just like, okay, cool. Like it's an essay. We're going to write it. And then we get to school and the first day, all of us have to read out our essays in front of everyone. Bear in mind, we haven't met each other or anything. It's like the first time all of us are in a classroom and we have to read out our essay in front of everyone. And then our lecturers were in front of us critiquing like our essay. And these are essays that we didn't take seriously because we just thought, oh, it's a summer project. And all of us got absolutely slated. Like we got destroyed, which fair enough. It was warranted, to be fair. And that was kind of like my rude awakening, like, oh, this is what they expect.
So it was like the crucible. So all of you
basically,
you ran out to,
and it still took me a while to like understand still how they expect like things to be written, how they expect you to research things. So, for example, if I write an article on like so we have crits, which is basically at every project we do, we have to present it to the whole class. It doesn't matter what project it is. Every single project we do at school, we have to present it to the whole class, which means that you're going to be critiqued by the lecturers in front of everyone, every single thing you write.
How many people is that?
About 30.
All right.
But sometimes sometimes students from like higher years come to our crits as well, which they can do. So there's also that. Sometimes it's more. So there's that pressure. And it just took me a while to warm up to like what is expected of me. It's just a different level of what they expect. Like you can't. I think it's good for me though, because even the way I approach making YouTube videos is different because of that. Like if you write a video, say you write a story about, let me think of like a current designer. Who's like a current designer that isn't
Kiko. I'll choose Kiko.
Okay, so say I was to write an essay on Kiko. So say I was to write an essay on Kiko Kostadinov for school. They could ask me, because Kiko Kostadinov is like Bulgarian, right? They could ask me a question on Bulgarian politics if I write about Kiko's fashion, because they expect that, like, as a journalist, if you're going to write about a designer who's Bulgarian, you have to know everything around like everything possible. So you have to know all the references to his collection. You have to know the context to it in terms of like being a Bulgarian or growing up in Bulgaria. They would expect me to like interview Bulgarians. They would expect me to interview people that have worked with Kiko. They expect me, if I can, to interview Kiko himself, all for that one like 800-word essay. So it's just a way of thinking that I wasn't used to, that over time I've kind of gotten used to. And I think going into the second year, I'm like way more prepared.
Truthfully, yeah, that's hard.
So yeah, that's basically why it was tough at first.
You build up like just contacts and a repertoire of people just off that alone. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Write
that's
like
true.
15 articles on like completely different things, and you're talking to people in and around the space of the particular thing that you're writing. Then you're building up people that you know for particular articles, and then friendships could spark from that, and like peer-to-peer understandings could come from that as well. So yeah, that's what I like.
Yeah.
I like that. Someone asked how old we are. I'm 18.
I'm not even going to say anything. I said how old I was earlier anyway.
Yeah. He said, do you feel optimistic about making a living from it?
What, from journalism? Kind of. I like fashion. Fashion is fun for me. I like reading about it, learning about it, interviewing people, learning more, working in fashion. That part's fun, but I don't like the egos, and I think that's why I want to make my own publication, because long term, obviously to gain experience, I'd like to work for a few publications, but long term I won't, because I want fashion to stay fun. And I think if I spend too much time with like fashion people, I'm going to hate it very quickly. And by fashion people, I don't mean like people like that watch this channel that are just passionate about it. I mean like ego-driven, egotistical characters that exist in the fashion industry type of people.
I wonder about that, because I feel everyone has an ego, but like, what is the dark part about that lives in fashion particularly? Because it's a bit like, I don't understand it somewhat, because like if you were working in an engineering firm or something like that, you were doing chemical, and like there'd be egos there as well, and it would be like very high performance driven, like you'd have to do bare work and all of that stuff, 60-hour weeks and whatnot. But like in fashion, it's like you write articles, you go to shows, and you're trying to just get people to know what you know in a certain type of way, and just in general it feels more creative. So I wonder where all of the substantial dark ego comes from. So yeah, and like the toxic energy, I don't know where it comes from.
Well, Diane has egos are toxic in the fashion industry. Dark part is self-importance, the kick the dog mentality. Yeah, really true. Yeah, I don't know why it happens. I think especially like, it's just, especially in like journalism and like design, those two, like journalists and designers, sometimes they're like pedestalized by so many people to a point where they have this sort of like inflated sense of self, to where you can't even reason with them anymore, from my personal experience.
For designers, that's real. Like designers in general, I understand them having egos. Like literally, you tried your whole life for someone to just buy one piece, and then now people are buying hundreds a week or whatever it is, and now you're making like multiple millions, and like bare designers don't get to do that. So I understand where that comes from, but like the journalist to designer should be a balancing act of some sort. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, here's my thing,
fashion people are so weird. Okay, let me give you a good example. So one time I was at school and I was eating a pizza with a few friends. So we were just eating pizza. And then these group of people walked past us, and they looked at us with so much disgust, like, ew, you're eating a pizza. And they're just like fashion students. And those are the type of people that will literally go in the industry. They're like looking at us like, oh, you're so fat, you're eating a pizza. I'm like, these are like adults.
That's jokes. That's jokes.
It's crazy.
Because I speak my mind a lot, I don't really get to meet a lot of ego people. So like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know because I definitely deter a lot of people just based off my personality alone. That's a bad thing, by the way. I'm not even saying that as a good thing because
Yeah.
you're meant to have those toxic ego friends if you want to survive in fashion. But yeah, I haven't really met many of them. Like I'm just me.
Yeah.
I exist on the outskirts, on the periphery. You shouldn't really see me, but yeah, here am I on my friend's live stream because my friend and he said I should come on. Is what it is really. I
Alex
was
said
literally,
each living person has an ego. Yeah, I agree, but I not to
yeah,
the point where it becomes like a hindrance on like
yeah.
being able to just have a chill conversation.
This is about professionalism and how you conduct yourself in an
Yeah.
environment with other human beings and the level of like decorum you expend because the reality is like here's my thing. This is just me talking about fashion historians here. So I was in a conversation with, well, I wasn't in a conversation with a bunch of people. I was listening to a conversation with a bunch of people, and they were talking about how fashion writing wasn't really respected until the 80s. So there should be a lot of thanks or gratitude that a lot of people get to have real jobs just writing and being respected as a journalist, but there's not that. That's what it is really. I don't know. I don't know because I
So
haven't.
professional decorum are funny to think about in the fashion con.
That's real. That's real.
That's real though. It is. It
I heard
is.
you.
It
Like
is.
to me, like I know, like if I was to work in a corporate environment, like management consulting or business development, like I'd have to have a lot of politicking and understand like just how to maneuver and cut through and talk to people, right? So, but that's don't want to take it there, but that's a lot of a male driven environment. Like men have that thing of I can punch you in the face if I feel like it, right? So you have to talk
Right.
to a lot of people nice. Like and I really hate to say that, but at the same time, you actually have to understand that. Like, so it's one of those ones. But in the fashion context, it's not necessarily like that. So there's
Right.
not a lot of there's a lot of catty, we are going to ice you out energy. That's the energy that I think I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like,
So the ego thing is like essentially. So people, and it's not even like an embarrassment really. So for example, people don't like to be, what's the word, undermined. And it's not, once again, it's not really being undermined, in my opinion. It's just you don't know everything, and sometimes people might come with good suggestions. But people in fashion are so, well, I won't say people because that's too general. Some people in fashion are so like ego driven that rather than have someone bring something very like beneficial to the table, they'll rather you keep quiet because by you bringing something beneficial to the table, in their mind, it means you're like undermining their value, which is so twisted, but it's how a lot of fashion people think. And that's the part of fashion that I can't stand.
where's the
Because it's like if I was like head of a fashion company, I would be so willing to hear like any suggestions, even if like people think it's silly. Because at the end of the day, everything is worth like consideration. Like I'll consider everything. You never know what 18-year-old could like think differently to me when I'm like 40, and I'm like, whoa, that's revolutionary, and it changes a business. And I just don't know where that like
yeah,
mentality comes from. It's just so weird.
I don't know. I just like who like I don't know what everybody's saying. I'm really just a nobody. I'm just here existing.
Yeah.
I kicked my feet off a
There are
few.
more people with knowledge who want to share it, and then people with knowledge who look down on others for not having it. Yeah, good point. From my experience, there's a lot of people who want to seem important, but a lot of them don't have anything to back it, so they hide behind the holier than thou attitudes to distract. Love once again to a fashion design degree while consuming content about how miserable and terrible everything about fashion is. No, fashion is lovely. we talk about the good and the bad.
Yeah,
Sometimes,
yeah.
yeah.
I think did we? Have we? I
We
don't
just
even
have to
know.
give you a balanced sense of like what you're about to get into.
Yeah,
There's no point like glamorizing it because
that's real
working in fashion, there's nothing glamorous about it.
at all.
So it's best
It's
we just
work.
tell you now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Know that you're actually existing in a job. Like it's another career path, just like any other.
yeah,
I think. I don't know actually. Who knows? Like your design, like if you're a designer and you're making a studio, you could really exist in a silo if you really felt like it. Like you could have whoever you've hired and then you just put out work. But obviously you have to know how to maneuver and cut through. But who knows, man? Like, I'm like very much like approaching my 20s. I'm like,
yeah.
who knows? Who knows? You can do whatever you want. Like a lot of people, yeah, approaching my new zero. Like I'm like a lot of people can do whatever they want. However, this is the thing: the majority of people won't know how to do it. So a lot of the people are going to do what everybody else has done before them, and that is just a natural human thing. That's not anything special. That's not saying that people are followers. That's just what humans do. You see who came before you, see what they do, and you mirror that. So you did that with your parents, and then you do that in your career because you don't know really anything about the career. So if you think the way to cut through is to be snobby or whatever it is, then that's probably what you're gonna do. Like if you were looking at fashion magazines at 16 and you watch The Devil Wears Prada and you're like, oh, so this is how I get to act and all of that stuff. I can be bitchy and I can, act like I'm the shit and all of that stuff. You're probably gonna do that. Like it's the brag, like even in rap, like there's the
Diane's right. Yeah, hard work and very little glamour. 100%.
yeah, like I don't know, I don't really know how much glamour there is in design. Like I think when a piece is done, I feel like you get more satisfaction than glamour. I feel like it's the people outside of you that give it the glamour.
Those cursed my day as a fashion student in New York TikToks. I haven't seen any of those actually.
Victor, you're funny, fam.
That's funny.
That's
Do you
what.
guys have any more like fashion questions before I close the
Yeah.
stream?
Oh
Because
yeah.
basically talked about
Oh yeah.
what
It's
we
been
need to
2
talk
hours
about at this
now.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was nice though. Talking about the
It
industry.
was. I haven't had a stream in a while, so it was quite fitting.
Yeah, I like seeing what people think because like after I saw that tweet, I was like, gotta cut this quick. Like people really think that this is what being in fashion is like. Oh man, I don't know why that thing annoyed me, but it did. Cause like really and truly, like even today, being in fashion is being at your yard, being on Zoom calls, and then making an article, being at your yard, being in Zoom calls. Like
Yeah.
like a lot of people are doing shoots from Zoom. Like, please. Anyways, is what it is.
Yeah, Diane is true. She said, I had my own brand for 13 years. It was hard work. It says the 7 minutes of catwalk that give the illusion of glamour. Yeah, 100%.
Interest. That's a very interesting take. I'd love to
Do you know
talk
what's
about
funny,
that.
actually? To talk about what Diane just said, my first job in fashion was a fashion internship, and I was like making patterns. And that was when I realized I don't want to be a designer. Because before then, like fashion to me was so glamorized because I'd never like worked in fashion. I was just like, oh, this is so much fun. Like you get to go on runway shows and like present collections and travel the world. And I did one internship and I was like, yeah, I want to work in fashion, but not this way. I was like, not this way.
That's jokes, bro. I've actually not had any ambition to like work in a particular industry. It's weird. I don't know why I am.
Yeah.
However, I can write and I know how to design a little bit, but I don't know how to pattern cut. So we'll see.
I can pattern cut, but I can't sketch to save my life, and I can't use a sewing machine to save my life. I can make you the pattern and you can sew it together, I guess.
All right, then we can be a team. We can be a team. Odunai or Yusuf. That's what I'll be. Someone talked about Ernest W. Baker, and I'm looking at them right now just before we close.
I don't know too much about Ernest W. Baker. Obviously, it's a name I hear a lot, and I see people wearing it, but I'm not that educated on the brand.
It's a lot of tailoring. There's cowboy boots there. Well, not cowboy boots. Well, yeah, actually, they are cowboy boots.
So I'm gonna leave the stream up, so you'll be able to like watch it back, and you'll be able to listen to what I said about the Pyer
Yeah,
Moss show.
Emmy Cole, Nina Ricci, Nina Simone. That was jokes.
Nina Simone.
That's your these pants are nice, but it's quite a commercial. Well, not commercial. Very masculine.
What?
Yeah, it's just like, you know, very male, very like sellable male clothes. Like you're selling to a man that like with style, basically. Like a lot of these people, these like things are just like whack and roll. Really.
Oh, I like Wacko style though. They're amazing.
But yeah, like there's this one sweater vest look that looks like something Kamal would wear.
Yeah.
But I like the driving gloves. I like the shoes. I like the buttons. Oh, there's a jumpsuit. That's cute. Okay.
Anyway, let's see. I'll leave the stream open for 4 more minutes. So if anyone has a quick fire question, you can shoot me with a question quickly, and then
I would only come on this for you, bro.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It would have been really tiring if I just did it by myself, because I need energy to feed off, which is why I like people to come into the live stream.
Yeah, that's what I have to do with the other live stream as well. Yeah, I'm up there still. Yeah. Yeah, I should come through soon though.
Yeah, I was because I know I was supposed to see you yesterday. I'm quarantining because I have like surgery tomorrow, hence why I had to quarantine.
It's tomorrow.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, I was like, oh wait,
yeah,
I remembered, but I didn't know what day it was. But yeah, it's tomorrow.
Yeah, so that's why.
Yeah,
but a week when I recover, it'll probably take like a week.
Yeah.
So next week I'll be fine to like do whatever.
Yeah, all right then. Calm.
Yeah.
I'll come through. Yeah, fam. You're like up the it's so mad that you're up the No, that's jokes. That's actually jokes. It's 5 minutes on Uber. That's wild. I'll come pack some books for you if you still need to pack some books.
We'll see. What would you like to see from young designers? Innovation, to be fair, which I am seeing from young designers. I'm actually seeing that from young designers. So I guess like the ones I see at least. So I think young designers are doing quite a good job. At least the ones I've seen recently, like graduate collections and all that stuff, they've been really good.
Yeah, like who's that girl that works with like Maximilian and Moët? I forgot her name. Because obviously Maximilian and Moët are well, but like the Asian lady, we were on the live stream and Jason went on there. I forgot her name. What's her name?
Yeah.
Do you know her name? The one from Fashionista. I forgot her name.
It's not Moët.
No. She's friends. She went partying with Maximilian.
Oh,
do you remember?
The Korean woman.
Yeah.
1 second. I'm gonna Google it.
Yeah. I think if it can.
I think she's Korean.
Yeah.
I have a feeling she's Korean. Give me a second. I'm gonna find her.
Is it Like I like the rapping that people are doing today. Not that I think
it's Goom.
Goom. That's the one.
Goom.
Goom. Yeah, like not that a lot of people were rapping today. I don't know if that's what people are doing, but if it or people are wearing, but if it is, it's cute. Goom heel.
Eco fashion. So spoiler, my next video is gonna be on like H&M and if I think it can ever be sustainable or not, because they make a lot of like sustainability claims. So you might get my thoughts, but in general, it just depends on who we're talking about. Like there's no and I'll comment down below who we're talking about.
Yeah.
Who
All right. Yeah.
go and check out her work. But anyway,
Definitely.
eco fashion, it just really depends on who. Like, eco fashion can mean many different things. Like, when a brand says something is sustainable, like, what does that mean? Like, it's a vague term. If you say like you make eco fashion, what does that actually mean? It's vague. So I judge it on a case by case basis. If someone says like they make eco fashion or whatever, I'm gonna look specifically at what it means when they say it, and then judge based on that.
Bro, like my thing with that is it is so hard to be like really sustainable.
It's impossible to be completely sustainable, but yeah.
That like I'm like sometimes like if you're a kid, like maybe that should be second. No, because like fabric is expensive. Like just thinking about an idea is expensive. Like you make a design and you're like, what fabric am I gonna use? And then you're like, oh, I have to be sustainable, so I'm gonna cut up all of these old clothes that I'm going to buy from a thrift shop, and you're gonna buy a shirt and a couple of other shirts, and then it will probably be like what £10 altogether, and that could be one big like just a good couple yards of fabric that you.
Do you know something really funny though?
Is what it is.
So
man.
a lot of because we collaborated with like the design students for their collection, so we had to like follow them, and a lot of them were told that they need to focus on sustainability because that's like the new thing.
Yeah.
So it's so funny because a lot of, well, it depends. CSM is like half and half. There's like really rich kids who can do whatever, and some of them don't even design their own collections. They just get people to like make it. And
Talk about it.
and then there's some students who like don't have a lot of money, so they have to like they'll like use tablecloth and make an amazing dress or like anything, whatever's around them, right? And then they would kind of add that, oh, this is sustainable because we're using like archive fabrics, which is funny because you would have done that anyway because you're just using fabrics that are around you. So it's crazy how now there's like that's true. There's like a whole opportunity to talk about sustainability for students who would just do that anyway. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I feel that still. Yeah. That's real. Fabric is expensive. Probably gonna use a tip like sometimes it's like just really just what people are going to do anyways, and sometimes it's like what is my like financial and creative standing here when it comes down to being sustainable. And it's like obviously it's like a philosophical question and possibly a political question, which I feel like it's too much like tension on the youth who are just trying to create. But
exactly,
that's my personal thoughts on it, really and truly. So whenever
shouldn't be putting pressure on some like design student who barely has money. Like,
bro,
what's the sustainability? How many carbon emissions is your processes? It's just like,
I swear, a collection of what 12 pieces, fam. Come on, man. You're only trying to get what? Oh man,
this is an interesting thing. So
yeah,
I think I'm gonna make these points in my next video anyway. But like, when thinking about what's more sustainable than the other, you just need to put all the numbers together and see what works out better. So it's like, with renting clothing, there's an added pollution that comes with travel and carbon emissions of like cars, like delivering things to different people's houses or being flown somewhere. So just because it's rented, if it has to go on a plane to come and a plane back, or in a car to go and the car to come back, you have to weigh the carbon emissions of that versus just making another jacket. And then you compare them and then see which one is more. So if they've done that, because I haven't looked at what you're like the article you're talking about, but if they've done that and then found that renting is worse for the planet than throwing them away, they're probably right, to be honest.
I've heard multiple people say that, and like maybe yeah, but like I all the time I'm like, so these kids have to do maths now. Like
no, I'm only like that with big brands.
Yeah,
like, which is why I'm making a video about H&M, because they have the money to like do whatever. Because once again, for example, having a sustainable brand, depending on how it's done, might not even be sustainable in the first place. Like, for example, in the case of H&M, you have an eco-conscious brand, but in 2019, literally as recently as 2019, you were sitting on like $61 billion of like unsold fabric. So what is adding an extra eco-conscious brand to overconsumption of that level going to do for the environment? How is that helping? The way they could help is forget eco anything, just reduce your overproduction. Let's start with that. Then try to clean up some of your processes. Then that's the next stage. Like the eco-conscious thing, they shouldn't even bother. Like it just shouldn't be a thing they should even try. So once again, that's why it's just like, it just depends on which company we're talking about, what eco-conscious or sustainable means to them.
Real.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like someone said, if luxury brands want to be better for the environment, don't force out 7 collections a year. Exactly.
Yeah.
There's like very easy steps people can take. They're just not willing to take it. They'll rather just like, you know, use one organic cotton in like one t-shirt and be like, yeah, it's sustainably made. It's just like, yeah, I ain't got time for that. But anyway, thank you everyone for. Okay, what are you gonna say? What are you gonna say? For
No, I have to DM you it because I'm not getting blackballed more than I already am. Let's go.
Okay, okay, cool. Okay, thank you for everyone who joined the live. I'll leave it up, so if you want to watch it, or you missed part of it, you can watch it after.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'll do some more of these soon. If one day I hit 100k subs, I'll probably do another live. So we'll see if that ever happens. But yeah, thank you very much. And my new video should be out in a few days, but we'll see.
It will happen. 100k is gonna come.